Kiddush, we did say at the beginning of this Maimon, there's three parts. There's the first three discusses and explains the inyan of Poda besholom nafshi. There's the next three or four oisias. Dalit is sort of a ma'avar, but the Rebbe explains the inyan of besholom, two different levels of shalom, which we're going to see right away. Right? Shalom milamayla lamata, shalom milamata lamayla, from above below and from below above. Right? Because it's Poda besholom. We're going to bring two other psukim also where there's two levels of shalom. And the end of the Maimer talks about the fact that with a Gilu Yechida you can bring about a synthesis of these two different levels of Shalom, Milamayla Lamata and Milamata Lamayla, the Aveda from above below and below above. Okay. In the first part of the Maimer though, which we finished, the Rabbi taught that the Chiddush was what we saw at the very end of Shir on Thursday. So at the very end of Shir. Poda besholom, the ultimate shalom is, we saw, well, let's just make sure we understand all this, right? Because we're not going to see as much of it. Well, we will, but we're going to have to understand it, to understand what's going on in the rest of the mind. We saw three different levels of the pedia, the redemption of the nefesh elokis from the clutches of the nefesh abamis. Meaning, how is it? Now, when we say that, what we really mean is that the nefesh elokis is affecting the nefesh abamis positively. But that also means, obviously, that Nefesh Elokis is therefore freed from the negative influences of the Nefesh Abamis. Not that it would be influenced by it, but it's affected by it because it's sharing space with it, called the body. And the Nefesh Abamis isn't the best roommate the Nefesh Elokis ever had. So, how is it Nefesh Elokis can elevate the Nefesh Abamis and extract itself from the Nefesh Abamis? So we saw three different levels. From the bottom up. Hislavshus, a direct encounter. It means literally being clothed, but it's a direct encounter with the nefesh abamis, and that's on the three levels of neshama called nefesh, ruach, neshama. Nefesh is action, ruach is midas, neshama is seichel. That you encounter the nefesh abamis, that the nefesh elokis educates the nefesh abamis to appreciate elokus. Now, Rabbi is going to talk about that in Hay. Rabbi will talk about how that works. Okay, so there's that level of change, but that's a level of change that isn't mevatel the nefesh abamis, right? It simply brings about a situation which we're going to see that where the nefesh abamis is maskim, she agrees temporarily, usually, to the dictates and to the idea of the nefesh elokis. Right? Love dafka the nefesh abamis comes to a state of complete love. We'll see. Okay, that's something the Rebbe is going to discuss as we go further in the mind. So that's a level of Poda besholom, but that's not really Poda besholom. That's Poda b'milchama, because it's a milchama to get the nefesh abamis to agree with the nefesh elokis, and that therefore, if it's the aveda in the oifen of hislavshus, trying to convince intellect reality. Nefesh abamis is your conscious reality. So it can and obviously Nefesh abamis has seichel and can appreciate elokus. So if you educate it and illuminate it, so then it can change. That's one level. Then there's the level of the revelation of chaya shebenefesh, when the rutzon of the nefesh elokis is mevatel the rutzon of the nefesh abamis. Right? And that we were calling inspiration. Right? I mean, how does that express itself in everyday activity? Inspiration. A person can become very inspired and feel a very strong connection to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore their desires at that moment are solely godly, and they have no desires for Elam Hazeh. They're not interested in the desires of Nefesh abamis. Now, that's also generally temporary, beseder, but that's not an Indian in hislavshus. That's not that my nefesh elokis and my nefesh abamis are involved in a battle, krav, miloshem kiruv. They're close to each other. No, there's a light from above that's so powerful that it's mevatel the nefesh abamis. What aspect of the nefesh abamis is it mevatel? It's rutzon. Not that the nefesh abamis is no longer interested in its expressing itself. But right now, its rutzon is dormant. Right? Again, that generally you and I can experience that in moments of great inspiration. Right? When a person wants elokus, that's all they want. Right? Okay. And then there's the level of the revelation of Yechidah Sheb'Nefesh. In Yechidah Sheb'Nefesh, that's the ultimate sholem, because in that place there's no nefesh of Amis. And if that level of neshama is revealed, there's no nefesh of Amis. That level of neshama is usually revealed in the time of Mesiras Nefesh. Now, in that context, that means the ultimate expression of Poda besholom nafshi is Mesiras Nefesh. Is the revelation of Yechidah Sheb'Nefesh. And that's borne out by the rest of the pasuk. Ki, because, why is it that I reached the state of Padiyah B'Shalom? Ki b'Rabbi hayu imadi, because b'Rabbi hayu imadi, and the Rebbe explained, based on the Mitla Rebbe in Sharet Tshuva, that b'Rabbi refers to Yechidah Sheb'Nefesh. The makif kloli, the makif that includes within it everything. Therefore, all of the Rabbim, all of reality is included in that makif. Therefore, it's called Rabbim. Even though it's the ultimate, it's referred to as Rabbim. Ki b'Rabbim hayu imadi means there was a revelation of Yechidah Sheb'Nefesh. Therefore, Poda besholom nafshi, my redemption was peaceful. Why? Ki b'Rabbim hayu imadi, there was a revelation of Yechidah Sheb'Nefesh, and therefore there was no opposition. Batal mavutl. It's not even that the Ratzon is batal. There's no opposition there. There's nothing else. Azoy v'nit andrish. Right? This is the way it is. It's only elokus. Oh, so now the Rebbe, okay, fine. There's these three different levels, and that's explained in every part of Besholom Maimer, what we just talked about. Okay, but this word krav is in the pasuk. Poda besholom nafshi mi kravli. There's a battle. And the very fact that I need a padiyah, I need a redemption, seems to indicate that I'm involved in some sort of battle. So how can that be b'sholom? How can that be that there's a revelation of Yechidah Sheb'Nefesh where there's no battle, there's no opposition? But there is opposition. Again, two aspects of the pasuk seem to indicate that there's opposition. One is that I need redemption, right? Even after, and the Rabbi said, the reason comes before the Siba comes before the Messiah. The reason, Ki b'Rabbi hayu imadi, comes before that which it's the reason for. Right? The reason I went to the store is because I wanted milk. Okay, so wanting milk happened before I went to the store. I didn't go to the store and then want milk. Then, if that's the case, then the reason I went to the store is not that I wanted milk. I went to the store because I wanted cucumbers. But I saw milk and I bought milk. If the reason I want to go to the store is milk, that means that reason exists before I went to the store. So if the reason that Poda besholom happens is because there's a revelation. Okay. I have no idea what just happened to the live feed, but it just came back. Sorry about this. But these technical things. Anybody over 40 finds these things nerve-wracking. Maybe 50. Okay. I just want to read the last thing we saw. Hu b'chdei l'ramez, this comes to hint. Why does it say, Poda besholom nafshi mi kravli, that I have a battle? The Rabbi is saying this amazing thing. Shegam mi shehu b'darga nemucha, even someone who's on a lower level. What does that mean? Shenefesh elokis, that the godly soul, lo yiraka darga d'yechida, not only the level of Yechidah, which is the essence of the soul, which is the highest level of the soul, and therefore that level might, of course, be hidden because it's superconscious reality. Ella nefesh elokis b'chlal, his nefesh elokis etzloi, by him ibehelim, it's concealed. I mean, this is not a person who feels powerfully connected to his nefesh elokis. That doesn't mean that he doesn't try to serve God. He does try to serve God, but he finds it a real battle because he's very powerfully connected to Gashmias and Elam Hazeh, and even though he wants to overcome that, there is obviously a part of him that wants to overcome that and have a very powerful and real relationship with the Eibishter. He finds that very difficult because he finds there's a much greater consciousness of physical reality than godly reality. So his nefesh elokis is behelim, it's concealed. Va'ad, to such an extent, shenefesh b'hamis lachemes keneged nefesh elokis. So his nefesh b'hamis battles his nefesh elokis. Even that person. Even the person who has a krav, who has a battle. Mikol Makom, nevertheless, al yadeya machshava binyan yechido, through thoughts regarding the matter of Yechida. In other words, through this person contemplating the fact that his essence is essentially connected and rooted in the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that his essence is that he's absolutely godly. And not only does he simply think about that, but and he makes a decision, he makes a very clear decision, that his behavior should be in line with this fact that he's essentially Elokus and connected to Elokus. Even though he has a taiva for something in Eilam Hazeh, he, so to speak, looks himself in the mirror and says, Pasnit for a Yid. He says, Pasnit for I don't understand. Okay, but said I have a Nefesh Bahamis. I also have a Nefesh Elokis. And my Nefesh Elokis is not interested in any way, shape, or form in this behavior. Oh, thinking about that and making the decision, therefore, not to follow the dictates of the Nefesh Bahamis, the Rebbe says, but Rabbi Mayu Imodi, he thinks about his etzem and nefesh, his yechidah shebenefesh. Then, pediyas nafshe elokis milchomas the nefesh abahamis, the redemption of his nefesh elokis from the battles of the nefesh abahamis. Poda nafshi mikravli, he bay from the besholom. It's calm. It's calm. Why? Because he's transcended the battle. He's transcended the battle by virtue of the fact that he's reminded himself of who he really is, that he's really transcendent of the battle. And what am I doing battling something that's so not shaykh to who I really am? Right? No. And therefore, the Rebbe says, the victory will be rather painless. It's an amazing thing. And this, then we talked about this on Thursday, but this is the Rebbe's derech in Avodas Hashem. The Rebbe talks about the Nefesh Elokis all day long. He's not busy telling us about our Nefesh Abahamis. Here we're talking a lot about Nefesh Abahamis because we're talking about how to extract ourselves from it. But even then, we're not really talking about the Nefesh Abahamis. We're talking about different ways the Nefesh Elokis relates to the Nefesh Abahamis. The Dagesh is on the Nefesh Elokis. And the Rabbi constantly is reminding us of who we really are. And who are we really? We're someone who's essentially connected to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, certain behavior is pasnish. It's certainly in line with my Nefesh Abahamis. But I'm not only a Nefesh Abahamis, I also have a Nefesh Elokis. And so why am I doing this? Beseder, my Nefesh Abahamis gets even, the more a person connects to the Nefesh Elokis, the more powerful the Nefesh Abahamis has to become in order to try to overcome it. Okay, Seder. That being said, he still has that power to overcome it. And what's the power? So here the Rabbi says an unbelievable thing. What's Poda besholom nafshi mikravli? Remember, even though a person's involved in a battle, he has an Nefesh Abahamis, and the Nefesh Abahamis tries to penetrate into his conscious reality very powerfully and tries to get him to do certain things that objectively he'd rather not do, but right now he's having a hard time seeing things and objectively. He's very connected to this subjective desire or a lack of subjective desire to do something positive, whichever one it is. It might be stopping him from doing a mitzvah saseh, or it might be trying to entice him to do something that's against the will of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, whatever it happens to be. So at that moment, it's hard for him to connect to objective reality, but that's exactly what the Rebbe says. The person can stop, take a deep breath, and realize, well, hold on a second, who am I being? This is not shaykh. Why am I doing this? It's like eating out of a garbage can. It's pasnish. We don't eat out of garbage cans. Why not? Because we have, Baruch Hashem, first of all, we have the ability to eat some other way. Right, which is a big bracha, and there are unfortunately people who do have to, are sort of forced to eat out of the garbage can. It's okay, but that it's like the classmates don't eat out of a garbage can. Like, well, I'm doing it out of a garbage can. You don't see people that you know climbing into garbage cans looking for things. Those big, huge garbage cans. These called the turtles, right? Okay. I did once find a neighbor of mine walking around in one, and I thought it was rather bizarre. But because possibly chewing. Oh, okay. So if a person could come to the realization that that's what every Avery is, so then it would be very easy. Now, it's not like you and I battle. I says, oh my gosh, I'm such a tiger to walk in that garbage can. But no, I can overcome it, and it's not going to and my shoes are going to smell, and they might even get in the bottom of my pants dirty, and who knows, someone might see me, and so I'm not going to go. Okay. It's not why we don't walk around in the garbage can. Okay, Rabbi continues nice down. This can be understood. Now the Rebbe is going to bring 3 different psukim. Now this is Parshas Vayetze, which happens to be our parsha, right? This Maimah was said in Parshas Vayetze. So the Rebbe quotes a pasuk from Parshas Vayetze. V'yuven zebakti mashakos b'parsha seinu v'shavti besholom al beis avi. Right? Today's Chassidus. Yaakov Avinu, that the famous machlokes, the Ramban and Rashi, in the end of Rishon, as to when Yaakov Avinu has that conversation with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and there's a certain condition and there's a certain promise. So what's the condition and what's the promise, and where does the condition end and where does the promise begin? And that's a machlokes Rashi and the Ramban, very famous Sikha, the Rabbi on the machlokes, right? So Shavti besholom, I'll return in peace, El Beis Avi, to the house of my father. Okay, that's what Yaakov says. Besholom. Beis sholem, 2 different levels of sholem. That's the first pasuk we're going to see that. Umevar bala geula, and the bala geula, that's the Mitler Rebbe, the one who got out of jail on Yud Kislev. The alichas Yaakov l'charon, the traveling of Yaakov to Charon to go see Lavan, haisa b'chdei levares nitzutzei she'ayusha, was in order to elevate the sparks that were there. V'zeu shamar, and that's what he means when he says, V'shavti b'shalom al beis avi, I'm returning in peace to the house of my father. That what? Shabira nitzutzes, the rectification of the sparks of holiness that have fallen there. V'hashavosam, and their return. Hachzarosam, l'shorsham, to their source in holiness. El beis avi, yeh b'ofen d'sholem, should happen b'sholem. Now that's pretty interesting, right? Was his related? I mean, was that exactly b'sholem there by Lavan? Right. My son and I were just talking yesterday, Friday night, as we were doing Shnayim Mikra. So you go through the whole parsha, right? So you see the whole story, you see everything. Yaakov Avinu's mother, right? So the first thing she does is she tells him, okay, I want you to dress up like Esav and go into your father and, so to speak, steal the brachas. Not stealing them, we know, but right? Go take the brachas. Okay, fine. So he asks a few questions about that, and he does it. Okay, as a result of that, his brother wants to kill him. So his mother says, look, your brother wants to kill you. Right? And why does he want to kill you? He wants to kill you because he did what I told you to do. If you hadn't done what I told you to do, or I hadn't told you that, then he wouldn't want to kill you. But he wants to kill you because I told you to do this thing. So now he wants to kill you. So you have to run away. Okay. Where do you run to? My brother Lavan. Oh, that's a treat. Right? So first Rivka brings about a situation that Esav wants to kill Yaakov, and then Rivka tells Yaakov the solution is to go spend 20 years by Lavan, who's a creep deraisa. Right? So he spends 20 years with this absolute creep, right? Who's just a horrible person, right? Just absolutely a horrible person, right? And then after that, that's just his preparation to go deal with Esav on his way back there to Israel. Now he's ready to deal with Esav. It's all because of his mother telling him, go now, and we understand that that's what had to be, right? It's just so interesting how Yaakov related, obviously Yaakov related all this positively and understanding this is what had to be, etc. But this is all as a result of the advice that his mother kept giving him along the way. And we know his mother was right, but this advice didn't exactly lead to immediate gratification. Right? You're going to get the bracha, oh Baruch Hashem. All of a sudden he looks in his bank account the next day and there's a couple of $1 million there. No. His mother comes up to him next morning, do Nagelwasser, I have something to tell you. So, splashes Nagelwasser, says, Maidan, he splashes Nagelwasser. Esav wants to kill you. It's a good idea to leave. Oh, Boker Tov. Nice to see you. Right, okay. Then he goes to Lavan. Just a question. See if any of you can answer this question quickly. If you don't answer it quickly, but don't guess. If you know it, good. If you don't know it, so don't guess. How many years were all three of us in the world together? How old was Avram Avinu? We can go backwards. How old was Avram Avinu when he passed away?
175.
175. Beautiful. How old was he when Yitzchak was born?
When Yitzchak was born, 100.
100. How old was Yitzchak when Yaakov was born?
60.
60. So how old was Avram Avinu?
160.
There you go. So how many years were they in the world together? 15 years. 15 years, all the others were in the world together. Can you imagine? Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were all in the world together for 15 years. Wow. It's amazing. That's when Esav went bad.
What did the 20 Esav didn't there?
That's when Esav went bad, right? Because that's why he was eating lentils, avelus. But it doesn't matter. You can imagine 15 years the three of them were in the world together. Wow. That's one of the pshat. This is Sikh Rabbi. That's one of the pshatim why the Medrash says, what did Yaakov Avinu do? It says that Yaakov Avinu slept. He lay down in Beis Kel. And then, of course, Rashi says, which he didn't do in his 20 years in by Lavan. All right, so there's another day in the Medrash. So what did he do? So the Rashi doesn't bring either day. So what did he do by Lavan? He didn't lay down. So one Medrash says that one day in the Medrash, same Medrash, says that he said Tehillim all day. The other says he said Shir Malis all day. 15 Shir Malis. Why 15? After corresponding to the 15 years that they were all in Elam Hazeh together. It's interesting. 15 years. Imagine what the world must have looked like. All three of them in there at the same time. Very holy people. Okay. So he went down there to elevate reality. So this pasuk, V'shavti besholom, that there's two different levels of shalom, which we're going to see. Right? Well, let's see that right now before we talk about it. Umeisi b'maimer, he continues in the Maimer, the middle of Rabbi. The Peirush besholom hu beis sholom. Shalom ilamayla lamata, shalom from above below. V'shalom ilamata lamayla, and a shalom from below above. Okay, two different levels of shalom. Now that pasuk is talking about bidur ha'olam, rectifying the world, elevating the world. That's why Yaakov was in love in Haran, to elevate the sparks of Haran. As a matter of fact, the whole idea, there's an amazing sikh of the Rabbi, I think in Chelik Chaf, maybe Tesvav, don't remember, that Lavan runs after Yaakov. Why did Lavan have to run after Yaakov? Because Lavan had to bring Yaakov the oisius of the Torah that Yaakov had left behind in Haran. That's what the Medrash says. So what does that mean? That means that there was a certain aspect of elevating reality that Yaakov couldn't do without Lavan's involvement. There's two different levels of elevating. One is conscious and one is superconscious. And Lavan represents the superconscious level because Lavan's shurish in Kedusha is a place called Loivin Elyon, the upper level of white, which is the most powerful light of Ein Sof. So that's Lavan in Kedusha. So that level of Lavan had to elevate certain aspects of reality and bring it to Yaakov. Yaakov couldn't elevate everything himself, so to speak. Okay, so even there, I mean, why am I mentioning that? The Rebbe's not going to talk about that here. But even there, you see there's a certain level of milamayla lamata and a certain level of milamata lamayla. The milamaila lamata is Lavan doing it milamaila. The lamaila of Lavan, Loiv and Elyon, this incredibly powerful level of Elokus. And Yaakov is doing it milamata lamaila. So there's that. Base Sholem. So too. Now that pasuk is about Biter and Nitzutzos. Elevating the sparks, elevating physical reality. Our pasuk, Poda besholom, is about extracting the nefesh elokis and the nefesh bahamis. It's more personal of it. V'yesh laim al derech zeh b'negei l'tevas besholom shebapasuk Poda besholom nafshi. The besholom u base sholem. Two different levels of sholem. Milamaila lamata, milamata lemailo. Second pasuk, and that shaykh to nefesh elokis and nefesh bahamis. So now that's interesting because we just learned Taka that there's a milamaila lamata of it. That's the gilui of chaya and yechida, and there's a milamata lemaila of it, and that's the avoid of hislavshus of naran. We just learned that. Okay, so in Poda besholom we see them both very clearly. Even though Poda besholom really is milamaila lamata. The extracting of the nefesh elokis and nefesh bahamis can be on three levels, but Poda besholom is dafka milamaila, revelation of chaya yechida shebenefesh. So where's the milamata lamaila? We'll get there. The Rabbi will discuss that. Right, and now the Rabbi connects it to a third pasuk, which is another mimer that this mimer is based on. Friedrich Rebbe's mimer B'chol Banayich, which we're going to see right now, the pasuk, which was the mimer that the Friedrich Rebbe said on the Ufruf of the Rebbe, and then the night before the Chasna of the Rebbe. He said the same mimer twice. First the Shabbos before, and then later the night of the Chasna. V'yesh l'kasher zeim pasuk B'chol Banayich limudei havaya v'rav shloim Banayich v'rav shloim. The yesh lemer, one could say, she inyan ribui shalom v'rav shloim ein ribui pachas mishtayim. Ribui is at least two. Ribui means multiplicity. Who base bechinas to shalom, that also is two bechinas of shalom. Shalom ilamayla lamata v'shalom ilamata lamayla. That pasuk is talking about Torah. So there's a pasuk about Biter Nitzutzos in Eilam Hazeh B'chlal. There's a pasuk about the relationship of the nefesh elokis and nefesh bahamis, and there's a pasuk about Torah, and all of them talk about base sholem, two levels of sholem: milamayla lamata, above below, and milamata lamayla, below above. Okay. Uluka'ura, at first glance, sarich lemer, one should say, shakavana ba'maimer. The intention in the mimer, the Mitla Rebbe, right? We're learning the Mitla Rebbe's. This mimer is based on the Mitla Rebbe's mimer of Poda besholom in Shari Tshuva. Even though the Rebbe also includes his father-in-law's mimer in B'chol B'nayach, and we'll see that more later. Shakavana ba mimer in the reality milamayla lamato be lamata lamayla, above, below, above. Who he. Gam l'shnei ofanim is also relevant to the two different ways shebe'inyan of birurim, regarding birurim, ha'inyan de v'shavti, al return, ha'shavas nitzutzos l'shorish, the return of the sparks of holiness to their source in holiness, meaning elevating Eilam Hazeh. Birur mi'derech milamayla lamata, a birur that happens from above below, birur b'derech milamata lamayla, and a birur that happens from below above. It's archlabin, you have to understand. Tari mavur, it's explained, bekama mekemis, in a number of places. The gamba mimer hanal, and also in the mimer that we're learning, Poda besholom de bala geula, huva le'il sifim aleph and beis, as we learned in chapter aleph in the first two chapters. The inyan of sholem, the inyan of sholem specifically, that's the biter from above below. What's pshat in sholem from below above? Sholem from below above isn't sholem. Sorry, but it's slightly different. The bir below above isn't sholem. The bir is b'milchama. It's a battle with the below. Now I emerge victorious in that battle, Bezrat Hashem. But it's a battle. That's the whole Indian of from below above. Above below, that's the shalom. That's what the whole beginning of the Maimer taught us. So how can we say that there's a besholom, base shalom, there's a shalom of from below above? How does that work? Seems to contradict everything we learned. The Indian shalom ubabira biderach mim l'mayla lamata bidur shalidei gilui or a revelation that's a function of a bidur, a rectification that's a function of gilui or revelation of light from above, not the hand combat below. Krav mashen king habidur shebederach milamata lamaylo, the rectification that comes from below above. Bidur shebederach hislavshus, that's hislavshus, encountering the raw and elevating it. Who by from the milchama? So why is that shalom? There's only one level of shalom. Milamayla lamata, that's shalom. Milamata lamayla, that's not shalom, that's milchama. That's what we said in the Maimer. So how come, why is it now that we all of a sudden see there's two different levels of shalom? Also shalom milamata lamayla, which we're going to have to figure out. I mean, Hey, Vav, and Zayin will explain that to us. Here we're asking the question to get to Hey. Umizeshem mit the Perish b'shalom hu base shalom. Two different levels of shalom. Shalom ilamayla lamata v'shalom ilamata lamaylo. Mashma, it's understood. Shagam abira shemilamata lamaylo. Even the rectification from below above hu bay from the shalom. How's that? We said it was a milchama. Ula hoisif, and to add, the mizeh shnemer v'shavti b'shalom base shalom. Shetzarech liyesh shneim. Have to be two of them. Both of them have to be there. Mashma, that also seems indication. B'chol echad me'em yesh nisar. There's an advantage to each. The advantage of the aveda milamayla lamata, and there's an advantage of the aveda milamata lamayla. Now we already know the advantage of the aveda milamayla lamata. It's besholom. But now all of a sudden milamata lamayla is also besholom, and we don't understand what the sholom is. We also don't understand, so what's the maila of that? Hislavshus. Okay, so let's see the beginning of the answer. And we'll pick up tomorrow. We also need, before we go further, we'll need a certain introduction, but we'll do that introduction tomorrow. Va'inyan the besholom shenas al yadei abir shnei efanim. There's two different levels of shalom. It comes as a result of the bir. Two different shnei ofanim mean two different ways, two different fashions of it. Shenis batel hamanagid, that the opposition is done away with. It's nullified. And how does that happen? This way, this fashion, who be'ikr is essentially ba'habira b'derech milamayla lamata, from above below. Mevatel the below, with the revelation of the or from above. Like we said, the inspiration will bring about a revelation of the rutzon of the nefesh elokis, so powerful. It'll be mevatel the rutzon of the nefesh bahamis. There is no rutzon in the nefesh bahamis. Right now it's dormant. Doesn't mean it can't come back, but right now it's dormant. Why? The person is very inspired. The bahabir, the derech milamata lamayla, but the beater from below above, shamevarer mislavesh b'mizbarer, that the one bringing about the beater encounters directly, is clothed in the mizbarer, right? That means that my nefesh, ruach, neshama encounters my nefesh abahamis and tries to convince it, al pi conscious reality, that Elokus is good. Umisasek imay, and he's involved with it. She yirtza lizbara, that it will want to be rectified. This is not. Shatachte, that the lower level, hamizbater, that which is rectified, misbatel, is nullified. That's not true. You don't nullify the nefesh habahamis. You simply, we're going to see later, you elevate, and the word used that we're going to see later in the Rambam is zikuch. You purify, illuminate the nefesh habahamis. Still nefesh habahamis. It's not bottled. It's there. It's just changed. It's affected by its ratzon. Its ratzon changes. The ratzon of the nefesh habahamis is now for elokus, as opposed to there's no ratzon in the nefesh habahamis. Islavshus is the nefesh habahamis changes. That's milamata lamaila. Milamaila lamato, the nefesh habahamis doesn't change. It's just completely bottled because there's such an incredible explosion of air right now. One more line and we'll stop. V'keven shegam, and we'll have to understand this much more. V'keven shegam la'achrei shenizbar, and even though after it's been rectified, it's come to a conclusion that elokus is good. Umetzias the tachton, it's still a tachton. The tachton velyanim afakim, the lower reality and upper reality, physical reality and metaphysical reality, physical reality and spiritual reality are opposite one the other. Lochen, gam la'achrish nizbar, even after it's been rectified. Shayich she'enagid l'elyon, it's still relevant. It's still shayich that it could oppose the elyon. It hasn't changed completely. Right now, what the word we're going to use a little later in the mimer is it's maskim. That's a word borrowed from Tanya. That the nefesh habahamis is maskim. He agrees. We talked about that earlier in terms of the kategar and senegar, the prosecutor and the defending lawyer. So it might be the defending lawyer brings an argument that the prosecutor ultimately agrees with, so in this particular situation he doesn't prosecute. It doesn't mean he's not a prosecutor. He's still a prosecutor. He still works in the prosecutor's office, works in the DA, right? Where he is the DA, whatever. Right? But in this particular situation, so the defending lawyer has convinced him that his argument is better than the prosecutor's argument. So the prosecutor will be masking to the position of the defending lawyer. But he's still a prosecutor. He's not, hasn't quit his job. Okay. Right there. Tomorrow we'll have to start class with understanding two different levels of iskafia and ishapa. Understand what's about to happen. Okay, well done.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Are you sure that you want to stop screaming? Last time I asked this question, it didn't work, so I better